A hostage situation of a 4-year-old girl in Hamburg, Germany. Explosives and such at the airport. Absolutely chaotic. We have attacks happening at protests, pro-Palestinian protests all over Europe as well as the United States. We have Antifa out there in the United States attacking people and threatening violence against people and intimidating, and acts of violence against stores as well as public property, statues, monuments being defaced. While we have this conflict over in the Middle East, we're starting to see this coming closer and closer to home. People in city centers are having to worry for their safety. We're seeing anti-Semitic attacks on the rise across the United States. People that they believe are Jewish, even if they're not Jewish. We're also seeing that that there is this inability to criticize in any way, shape, or form, or to be voicing any opinion that they disagree with. And this is not just happening at these protests, but anywhere in these downtown areas. We're going to be talking about what's going on out there, give you an overview of a lot of these different incidents that we're seeing pop up all over the world. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report, everyone. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant. We aggregate information here on this channel, get it out to you in an efficient form. So one of the things I didn't mention so far is that we've had an attack on a nuclear power plant in South Carolina. There was a man who drove into the power plant and was stopped further into the plant by multiple security barriers. He was then able to turn the vehicle around. He rammed through a fence and escaped over land and was able to get back on the road, rammed another security vehicle, and in the end he tried to get onto somebody's property. They fired some warning shots, and after he opened fire on them, just all sorts of craziness. He apparently has been arrested, but no word yet on motive on what's happening there, but a nuclear power plant. When's the last time you heard of someone trying to ram through the gates at a nuclear power plant? That's kind of a new one. That's a new one. And yet we're hearing all these sorts of new attacks. When's the last time you heard a terrorist taking a 4-year-old girl hostage at the Hamburg International Airport? For 18 hours, he had a firearm that he discharged. He drove out onto the tarmac, parked under an aircraft that had people on board, that had passengers on board. They evacuated the people after he started throwing Molotov cocktails and started discharging his firearm into the air. Now, the girl that was taken, the 4-year-old girl, apparently was his daughter, but he did not have the rights to travel with her, did not have the rights, so apparently estranged from his previous wife, divorced, and he kidnapped his daughter and was trying to force them to allow him to get on a plane with her, and was using weapons to do so. Absolute chaos there. I mean, when does that happen? This is a Muslim man, by the way. We'll not be silent on that. A Muslim man trying to kidnap his daughter and take her to Turkey because he didn't approve of Germany and such like that. You know, part of that could be potentially this conflict over in the Middle East, not appreciating where the German country stands and thinking that that Turkey was better. But you know, this is, a lot of these things are unprecedented. That is crazy. We have major protests across the United States, and in a number of these situations, there's video coming out of Antifa black bloc soldiers, and let's call them what they are. When you're wearing a uniform, carrying weapons, and acting on missions or in coordination with others to use acts of violence and intimidation against others, you are a soldier. Antifa soldiers showing up at these protests to provide security. Videos coming out of them carrying weapons. It's just like the BLM protests all over again. Any counter-protesters being intimidated or attacked. We're seeing people's signs ripped out of their hands. We're seeing Antifa people trying to rally protesters against individuals to isolate them and to attack them. We're seeing vandalism, the Washington, D.C. protest where monuments were defaced with spray paint. Only one arrest after someone smashed a McDonald's windows and started spray painting the outside of the building. Only then was he actually arrested. So one protest in this whole thing. The White House security barriers were damaged, and also paint was thrown on them and handprints put all over the place. Not to mention all the litter that they left behind. A tremendous amount of that. One person was actually trying to scale the security fence at the White House. No arrests there. And that's not to talk about all the intimidation and the threats of violence that were used at that protest. And so if you're in any downtown area, you need to be concerned about these things. In Berlin, 65 police officers were injured in attacks by pro-Palestinian, mostly peaceful protesters or whatever. In London, protesters started firing fireworks into the crowd in an attempt to hit police officers. 4 police officers were indeed injured, and dozens of civilians or protesters were injured in that as well. People firing rockets into civilians. Sounds a lot like the Palestinians over in Israel, you know. I guess we shouldn't be surprised by these acts of violence. If you're in a downtown area, if you are in around crowds, you need to be careful about what you may be displaying. We see a lot of graffiti happening, people's houses being marked over in Europe, particularly with Star of Davids to intimidate people of Jewish descent. We're seeing anti-Semitic attacks and threats happening, especially in New York City, where there's a lot of Jews. A lot of people out there are jumping on this bandwagon of intimidating, threatening Jewish people, especially on campuses. Terroristic attacks and threats of attacks happening. Friends, this is coming at home. I told you this, that the war in Eastern Europe, like, you don't have pro-Russia people in the United States. I know a lot of people are like, anyone who says, anyone who tries to get objective or tries to be, middle of the road on anything, well, they're definitely pro-bear country, right? But that's not really the case in the United States. Nobody's really rooting for them, okay? But the conflict in Israel, there are definitely people who are very adamantly for Hamas and the terrorists, and there are people who are very adamantly for Israel and the Israeli Defense Forces, right? So this is a major divide inside the United States, and you have people on both sides. And these sides are, well, you mostly have the pro-Hamas people using violence against the people who they perceive to be as Jewish or linked to Israel in some way. We're seeing synagogues being defaced and attacked, vandalism across the United States. This is serious, folks. And if you think this is going to resolve itself, it's not. And there are people of Jewish descent in the United States that are really, really fearful for their safety. I've heard of a number of people who are Jewish who adamantly against guns inside the United States, starting to inquire about getting firearms. This is kind of the situation where we're at, where people are fearing for their safety. A lot of people. And when people are fearful for their safety, they can act out. And then we have all these nutcases, these BLM, Antifa morons out there trying to attack people and vandalize things. And they think that because they're right, they can do whatever they want. Because they think they're right, they can do whatever they want. And we've seen that on every other issue out there, right? They're using these type of tactics for promoting every other thing that they want to promote. But now that they are trying to promote the end of the Jewish nation state over in Israel, it's just absolutely getting out of control. We're going to keep you updated on things as they happen out there, trying to give you not just kind of what's going on over there in the Middle East, but how it's affecting us here at home. There are these BLM folks are getting all geared up again. They're getting all cranked up again. And once again, like I said, they feel that they are justified in attacking vehicles, surrounding vehicles, and intimidating them. So if you are driving and you see a crowd, try to get away as fast as you can, because they are doing that whole surrounding vehicles and beating on them, smashing windows, trying to pull drivers out of vehicles. This is absolutely crazy. And the police are just standing by and large, and just watching them do these things. And those are situations that if you try to defend yourself, you're probably going to jail. So try to not be in those situations, people, please. Stay away from crowds unless you know what those crowds are about to do and what they're trying to accomplish. And stay safe out there, folks. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.